Hectic. Very hectic.
Okay. Okay. Let me hear from somebody else. How was the assignment?
Well, the assignment was actually good, but it really stressed me, especially thinking through and trying to put down some necessary things in the right way. So it was good but stressful.
Okay. All right. So somebody said hectic. Someone else said stressful. Okay. Someone else interesting but stressful. Okay. All right, guys. Let's hear your voice. How was it? Yeah, now you guys are not talking again. It's only ladies that are talking. Okay, I think the guys don't want to talk. It's fine. So this is what we're going to do this morning. So we'll do some sort of peer reviewing. Peer reviewing meaning that everybody would review the next person's work, the next person's research plan, your research analysis and reports for those that got to that. So before we continue, I want to note that not everybody submitted their assignments. Not everybody did. Somebody actually submitted by 4 a.m. this morning. An assignment, when I say assignment, I'm talking about research plan. Research plan that was supposed to be submitted on Monday. Many have not even submitted that yet. So I don't know. Is there anyone that's not completed their research plan? Please let me know now so I can know how to progress.
Okay, Miss Grace, good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go on, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I really didn't want to say anything earlier because I just felt if I should just say something, it might just I didn't want to stop the whole flow of the whole assignment thing because I didn't get to actually do it really. I didn't get to actually do it. I had a lot of stuff that were hindering me aside from my laptop giving issues and this. I don't even want to give excuses, sha, but I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't. What I was doing when I noticed all these stuff kept coming on was I'll write down ideas of how I want the whole research to go and everything. Then when it's time to like maybe start working on my laptop or doing something, the laptop just starts giving issues. I'm going to repair it today. That's what I plan to do. Um, my bosses they actually don't want to even hear something like that. So I plan on repairing the laptop and just working on some other project that I have pending, as well as this assignment really. So that's been the issue. But I was meant to send a mail. I was meant to send the mail, but yes, laptop wasn't able to. Then my phone as well. And let's just say I didn't want to just send email because I didn't want it to sound like I was being lazy or something. But really, So I don't know if there's going to be some sort of I don't want to say provision, but honestly, maybe something could have just been set up to just help me, like personally, to just help me really, because if, I don't want something like this to continue really.
Okay, okay. Anyone else? Might start calling out names.
Yes. Good morning, Mrs. Grace.
Hi, just call me Grace.
Okay, sorry, my background is noisy. That's why I like typing, but I have to talk now. I'm so sorry. I'm still on my work. I sent a mail very late last night, so I've not put it up in my mail. I had to submit about 600 results for my students. That was what I was battling with this week. So I I'm here to wrap up with their results too. After this class, I'll be going to the office and to see that I conclude with my students' results. So
Hmm.
I actually did the work up to my research questions, the survey questions, but I've not typed out anything. It's still on my writing pad. I'm taking my time, as I finish one thing, I go over to this and then so that's just my challenge. And the time was what didn't work for me at all, but I'm
Hmm.
actually working on it. Yeah. So sorry about it.
Okay. Hmm. All right. Somebody else. Start talking, or if you did not complete your assignment, it's up until research report. Or report is the end of the assignment. That is the most important part. So start talking. No, I know all the people that submitted, and I know when they submitted, and I know the ones I was not able to give feedback in time. So I know everybody.
Like, I haven't submitted my research report.
You did what?
And I haven't submitted the research report. That's the last thing left for me.
Okay, so how far have you gone with the whole project?
So up until 11 o'clock yesterday night, I was able to get 25 respondents to the survey. I decided to wrap it up there because I couldn't disturb anyone else again to fill it. So I'm writing the reports now based on the 25 respondents.
Okay, so how far have you gone with the report? Have you started it at all?
I started. I started.
Okay, so what about your Miro board?
I think I sent it to you, the link to you via your mail.
Yeah,
I remember when.
I must have missed that. Oh, okay. I'm just seeing that. My apologies. That was on Wednesday. Wow. Okay. Anyone else? Kudirat, you're not talking, no. Who else is there? Obafemi or Deronsi? You're not talking. People are there. Are there. You know yourselves, though. So unmute yourself and talk.
Hello, ma. Okay,
And
for me, it's just
oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
as
I hear you.
Linda. Okay, as Linda. I'm done with every other thing.
You're done with
Okay,
the other thing except what? I didn't hear what you said earlier.
except the research report, but I'm onto the report now.
Okay, so you're done with every other thing except the report itself.
Yes.
By your Miro link. I don't think I got
Yes,
that.
I sent it to your mail.
Hey, see you.
That
Okay,
was on Wednesday. Yes.
same day. So we both see you on and sent your board. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at that right now. Okay. The guys in my class, you people are not talking. The guys in this class are not talking. And it's usually the other way around in all my classes. Very interesting. Obafemi, you are here. Adedeji, you are here. Only Khalid has said, given his reason.
Hello,
Yes, hi, good
good
morning.
morning. Yeah, I was the one that submitted 4 a.m. this morning.
Ah, yes, but what you submitted was just your research plan, not the rest.
Yes, I've not documented them. I've done my research, I mean, an interview actually, but I've not documented them. So, in a bit to prepare for today's class, I actually slept this morning like 5 a.m. I didn't sleep throughout the night. I was just trying to put, just let me just push my plan forward so that I'll be able to hold my faith a little in the class. I
Hmm.
actually have not had time. As in, I actually have, like I explained in my mail, I had some domestic issues that kept me away from everything electronic for like 5 days. On Saturday, and then after that 3 hour class on Saturday, later in the afternoon, I was engaged in that till Thursday.
Wow.
So I was just jump starting and trying to put everything together. and I couldn't ignore the house, you know.
Hmm.
So I just felt that if I'm able to push that forward, then after today's class, I will make a rush up and document everything and push it forward to you.
Okay. Okay.
Push it
Wow.
forward to you.
Sorry
Then
about
I must say that this last one project is actually very engaging. You know, it's really hands-on. You can't actually be an absent student in this kind of project. It's really making you. It's not as if somebody give you a lecture. It's you have to be the owner of the thing. So when I was documenting, it gave me that kind of confidence that, oh, I'm actually the one owning this project. So thank you for that.
okay.
I apologize for being late.
I'm sorry about your issues. I hope it's settled now.
Yeah, just a little more. I just after today's class, I'll sort out the rest and then I'll be fine.
Okay, so
Thank you.
it's all right. Anybody else want to say something before I share some of my thoughts? Adedeji, unmute yourself and speak up. And we have who else has not spoken here? I don't know if Mercy has spoken. Kudirat too.
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah, yes, actually you did. So Kudirat has not spoken.
Uh, Good morning, madam.
Yes, good morning, sir.
I'll be unable to complete my report, so I'm still on it. So that's why I've not really spoken.
So where are you now on your work?
I'm actually completing my the survey. I sent out the survey questions, so I've gotten just 6 responses so far. So I just started with my Miro board also. So it's only the report plan that I know I sent on Monday. I was able to meet the deadline. So and I'm sorry that I've been unable to submit to actually finalize the report plan. The report uh total in total. So I guess I'll do that later in the day.
Okay. Okay. So Kudirat sent a message. My background is noisy. I've not started the assignment. Okay, so let me share my thoughts with you guys. So let me tell you how my week went first. So my week after Saturday's class was good. What did I have to do on Saturday? I had some projects that I had to complete. Sunday, church. After church, what else? I think somebody already started sending me an assignment on Sunday. So I think I reviewed that. Sunday, I got some feedback. Monday, reviewed a few assignments. And then Tuesday, I fell sick. So and then from Monday to Friday, I had a program I had to attend like from 9 in the morning to about 5 in the evening every day. So I was at that Monday to Friday, even though I was sick. So now, in the middle of that, I had projects, I had assignments to respond to, I had all that. But see how you handle things like this. It is normal for things to come up, even in your workplace as a designer. It's normal for you to maybe have personal issues or your laptop breaks down or internet issues. Short sometimes internet can be very messy. So internet can just mess you up when you're supposed to attend a very important meeting or something like that. The difference between you and somebody that will be sanctioned for issues like that is communication. If you do not communicate the right thing at the right time, to the right people, then you'll be sanctioned. And that's where people receive queries and then they receive sack letters. Or if it's not a full-time job, you receive emails from your clients and phone calls and they're upset with you and things like that. So That is how you handle situations like this. So I have a bit of an issue with people that when you have issues, you don't communicate to the right party at the right time. Some of the issues you may think you have could be very small problems that could be solved by somebody else. Like everything is not all about design in our classes. I may have experience with something that can help somebody, be it personal things, be something, anything, really. So one of the students that's supposed to be around in class is not here. Um, that's Jeremiah. He would actually be dropping off the class for this session. He will probably be joining the next session, and the reason is because he's sick. He fell sick, but he had communicated that like a while ago. So I wasn't having expectations of receiving assignments. So it's a problem if you just are not able to catch up. Maybe because you would say, in my area there's no light. In my area I don't have internet. All those things are just excuses. It's yourself you can be telling those things, honestly. It's left to you to find a way. If it is for you to go to a friend's house or uncle's house or auntie's house or somebody's house or cyber cafe or even if you have somewhere, anything. So an excuse to say there is no light. We're all in the same Nigeria. Nigeria does not have lights generally. It's also an excuse to say internet was bad. Nigerians' internet is bad. We're in the same country. So it is you that will find a way, and if your finding a way doesn't work, you will be the one to communicate it at the appropriate time. And while you're communicating the problem, you prefer a solution. Say, okay, this is what I'm intending to do at this time, and this is when I'll be able to give you feedback. I apologize, but these are the things I'm going to do. So a mere apology doesn't do anybody good. So those are the things I have to say about that. So now onto the assignments. If you have not been able to catch up, if you've not been able to by now at least have completed all your research, I would say you're hugely behind. Even if you have not compiled your research reports yet, but if you have not if you have not done your research, your interviews, and then your surveys, you're very, very much behind. I just have to give you that reality check. And the reason I say that is because this program is um is made to be this way because I could easily say you do research for 1 month and then maybe you start doing design the next month and then the other one next month. But it's never like that in the real world. Never, ever, ever like that. In the real world, you may have to do your research, low fidelity design, high fidelity design, prototype and test all in 1 week. That's the real world. All in 1 week, or maybe they'll give you extension, maybe 10 days. So maybe 2 weeks. It's left for you to figure out how you will do it and get the best data and get the work done properly. That's the reality, especially in this part of the world. Let me say it that way. In places where they respect design and techniques and all that, you not probably not have crazy deadlines like that. So I just have to say that to you guys. Okay. Um, today's class is supposed to be. Let me just quickly read through a couple of things that we're supposed to do today. I'm hoping we'll be able to complete them. Quite a lot. So let me just read them out. First thing was to revise the research assignment. The second thing was to review some of the research principles and tips we talked about last week, and even answer some of the questions that came up during the week on the group and by email, and then just basically chat about research. Third thing was to talk about information architecture, which I actually sent you guys a video before the training started. So that's supposed to be the third thing. The fourth thing is for us to get into user interface. So we'll be just basically talking about what do you think user interface is. The next thing would be for you to understand what fidelity means. So when you hear low fidelity, medium fidelity, high fidelity, what does that even mean? That's supposed to be the next thing. We're supposed to talk about how do you get design inspiration practically. We're supposed to talk about user flows. We're supposed to even start drawing some user flows. We're supposed to talk about paper sketching. How do you paper sketch? Then we're supposed to talk about how do you translate your paper sketches to wireframe in Figma. So we're supposed to do a little bit of practical today. We are also supposed to touch on UI principles, like user interface principles such as layouts, outputs, controls, views, inputs, error handling, all those kind of things. We're supposed to touch on those. Now we're also supposed to then wrap it up with talking about accessibility. And accessibility, like how do you design for people with visual impairments? How do you design for people with hearing impairments or people that don't have as much dexterity as you have as a designer? So those are the things we're supposed to talk about today. You see how plenty they are. And we spent about 32 minutes already. So basically, today is majorly supposed to be about how do you translate the results from your research? That's from concept, from the idea, to how do you translate that to fidelity, to low and then high fidelity prototyping. So that's what we're supposed to run through today. And let's see how far we can go. Now, for those people that have not been able to catch up yet, what I would recommend for you. Okay, so what Linda did with she had done up to 25 surveys as of yesterday, and she wrapped it up and is working on her research report. That's good. That's good. So for those people that have not been able to go through, if for instance you've gone through your interviews and you've not been able to analyze your report, what you can do is try to focus 30 minutes, 15 minutes to 30 minutes. See what you can do within blocks of time. Be realistic with your time. This is where some time management skills comes up. If you're also someone that you'd say, okay, I have laptop, I can charge you when there's light, but there's no light very much in my area. It's left to you to do most, or at least a lot of your work on paper as much as you can. And then when you do much of your work on paper, you then be able to translate them to laptop when you have it, right? So that's what you can. So you need to be creative, especially when you are in a space or climate like Nigeria. You need to be very creative with your work. Don't sit down hours endlessly behind your laptop when you don't have lights and you just waste the battery. So you have to be very, very creative. That's what I would say to that. So plan your time, because even the task for this week is also a little bit tasking. Okay, so what we'll do right now is I would pick one person's research plan. We'll look through it, and then I'll tell you some of my thoughts about it, so that for those that have not done theirs, or maybe you've done yours, but there are a couple of things you could learn from it, then you'll be able to learn. So let me see, whose own should we look at? Okay, so I think I would look at two. We'll do two quickly. I want to see what we can quickly do in 10 minutes. So maybe 5 minutes for each. So we'll look at two. We'll look at one for the job applicant and one for the recruiter. So let me see. Let me look at Linda's one. I think she was the first person to submit hers. So I gave a lot of feedback actually on ours. So I will look at the original one. I'll share that with you guys. So Linda was working on researching. What was she working on researching? Was it
Applicants.
okay? Applicants. Okay, applicants. Okay, so let me share my screen. I believe you guys can see this. So this was Linda's one. She has a section for our interviews, and then later on she updated it with surveys for the survey research plan. So I think yeah, she kind of edited and reworked this background, though I can see some of the things from the case study here, which is good. It's not bad, it's fine. Now, your research goal is I want to understand the process applicants currently follow to look for and apply for jobs, how effective each channel has been, and the challenges faced in the use of each one. These findings will help me design a product that will be more effective in helping people find jobs. Good. So I think this is already even the edited one, which is still fine. So now, research questions. So if you remember from last week class, we said our research questions should be those overall questions you're trying to find out through your interview. For this is interview. So here, ours was, what do you look out for when searching for a job? So what she was trying to find out from that is this, which is what are the applicants' pain points? So I like this. Now for behaviors, how do applicants go about looking for and applying to jobs? So this is about behaviors. So like how do they do it? So I like this. Where do they go when in search of jobs? So if you wanted to know exactly where do they go for when searching for jobs. Okay, cool. Then how do you interact with existing platforms? So how effective are these platforms for them? So this is actually fair enough research questions. Good. Our own method was please excuse me. Okay. Please hold on, guys. Sorry about sorry about that. Okay, so our here we have method. So she basically was going to use similar to what the template I sent to you. So this is good. See how I like how Linda actually just made use of the template and reworked it to hers. And this is what's going to happen a lot of the times when you're working on projects. You shouldn't have to start from scratch every time for every project. You should have your own style of research. So you have a template. So when you have different projects, you just rework it quickly, send it to the stakeholders, maybe your boss or the lead in the company. When you send it to them, you share your research plan with them. When you share it with them, you're sending it to them not because they are not going to be reviewing it the way I was reviewing it. No, it's just so that they can know what you plan to do. It is not their job. As a matter of fact, when you want to send it, you might remove the actual questions you want to ask. You might just leave it up until recruiting. If it was a project you have to spend on, for instance, if of course you would be spending on, even if you're doing remote interviews, of course you are spending data. So you write the budget for data. You write the budget for if you have to pay people for their time for the interview, you write budget. So there should be a budget part for your research plan if you need logistics. If it's something you have to go physically, maybe you want to go to a restaurant to talk to people in church or something, you put a budget for that. So where would you find them? You probably would put under your recruiting, probably say, okay, you're going to find them in this kind of places, and this is how much it's going to cost you for this and this. So there could be a budget part of the research plan. That's one thing I want to point out. Okay, so this was criteria. This were the criteria for recruiting applicants who have applied for jobs frequently in the past year and people that have active accounts on job listing platforms. These are the group of people that Linda wanted to focus on for our research, which is good. It's fine if you're going to focus on such. And that was when this part I selected was what informed the screening questions. So we have, when was the last time you applied for a job? So she's going to screen out people that was over a year and she's not interested in such people, which is fine. Have you used a job listing site before? If no, you're screened out. So those are two screening questions. It's good, it's not a bad thing for your screening question to just be even one question. You could use only one thing to screen people out so that you don't have a lot of people that don't even fit into your criteria. So she has timeline, then our actual script, which I think I gave some corrections about, and then she made corrections. Then our actual interview questions. So could you tell me a little bit more about yourself, familiarization, how often do you use the internet? So these kind of questions from the beginning are good to familiarize yourself with the participants so that they are more at home, so to say. So when searching for jobs, what means you used the most in your search? So all the questions that she has here were completely based on the overall research questions here. So I'm just going through this again so that you can get that very clear. This is just reinforcing the knowledge you have already. Then when you're done, you wrap it up. Good. So, and this is what she added this to the bottom, which is the recruiting email. It may not be email, it could be chats. So maybe recruiting chat. Maybe if you're sending this to people on WhatsApp, maybe trying to recruit them. It could be any format, it could be LinkedIn. So it may not be an email, but so you could call it maybe recruit. I called it recruiting email in the original template because that was what I was doing it as. But it could be recruiting script or recruiting message or something. And that's good. So that was that for that. And then based on our research, after analyzing it, you see, okay, this is grammatical error. So please, you guys try to watch out for grammatical error. So after carrying, okay, my bad, sorry. Having carried out an extensive qualitative research, a number of new insights surfaced, and this online survey is to validate some of our findings. Job applicants have been more successful locating and securing jobs outside of job portals. Okay, and have many issues with the way jobs are listed on job portals. They also hardly ever receive feedback for the jobs they apply for. This is wonderful. So right here, this is really good. So this is good how Linda has been able to crystallize all of the research she did in a few sentences, just to say, okay, fine, I've done a lot of qualitative research. So in cases where the projects you're working on, you did interview, and then maybe you even did some observational study. Maybe you went to where people are actually making use of this, and you studied how they do it. Not for this kind of project, but there are some kind of projects you need to see how they make use of a solution. So after doing all those kind of research, which are qualitative because you're understudying people, then she said she found a number of insights, and then she wants to use this particular method of quantitative, which is survey, to find out, to validate some of her findings. And something that stands out here is that she said a number of job applicants have been more successful locating and securing jobs outside of job portals. Meanwhile, initially, when she was screening out people for her interviews, she asked, I think I remember saying, I've used a job listing site before. No, screen out. So she found out that based on her research that, okay, so people are finding jobs outside of job portals. They have other means that they've had issues with the way jobs are listed. So this is good feedback. In fact, that many of them didn't even get feedback from the job. So this is really good. Then based on that, she comes up with, okay, what's the goal of my online survey? It's basically to validate the current means the majority of people got their job. I like the word majority. That's to show numbers and to show that you're doing a quantitative research now. So I want to know the proportion of users that got it through referrals, job portal listing, LinkedIn, and other social media in relation to one another. Also, I want to further understand how often they receive feedback and the time range in which it comes. I want to also see if the problems identified with job listing are the same with other people, or if there are more problems not stated. Okay, fair enough, goal. Questions: how many people identify with the problem people associated with job portals? So this is okay, but it's not specific. So this is not specific to the problem. So you will have mentioned the problem you're referring to specifically, Linda. So here, what is the time range in which applicants, though I understand that these are overall questions though, what's the time range in which applicants receive feedback after applying for jobs? This is okay. How do most people secure jobs? This is good. What percentage of people use each means of search to locate job listings? So what I like about these questions is how you've phrased them to reflect that this is a quantitative research, so showing numbers, which is good. Method: 8 survey questions to gather quantitative research. Okay, cool. Recruiting 30 participants, this is good. So now what someone like Linda would do is, because she said yesterday when she was doing her research, yesterday when she did her survey, she found out, okay, she could only get 25 people that filled the survey. So when you're doing your reports, you would match the number, find a way to say, oh, even though you set out for 30 participants, you got you can do it percentage. You got was it 75 people, 75% or 80% of the participants, which is not bad. And then you now state your results. Okay, timeline, script, then actual survey questions. I don't want to go into details of reading this out, but basically listing what kind of questions they are right here, so that when you're going ahead to create it on Google Forms, you just follow your own outline. So this is good. Now, the reason why I've gone through this, especially for people that are having power issues or laptop issues or whatever kind of issues, or maybe you have to commute a lot and you don't have the time to even use a laptop, you can do all of this on your device, on your own phone, or you can even write them out. Once you write it out, once it gets behind your system, you can easily just type it out. So these are ways, more of the assignment I gave you guys last week was more of thinking assignments, more of things that you think about before you actually research. If you're someone that goes out a lot, when you're in your Uber, you can actually talk to your, this is something I do for my own research work a lot. I talk to the Uber driver or the Bolt driver. If I'm a public transport, I talk to the fellow passenger. You would be surprised that people actually would love to talk to people more than you'd imagine. So you just talk to somebody, oh, I'm trying to run a project. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? They will definitely say, I don't mind. In short, I've not asked one person and he said they minded. And I've done a whole lot of research. They will always say, oh, yeah, I don't mind. And you ask one question, in as much as you keep it fun and engaging, and you're noting your points now, or you say, well, I would like to quickly record it because I don't have plenty, we don't have much time, so that I can't write while I'm talking to you. So those are ways that you research. It could be in a supermarket and you make friends with someone. It could be someone that is just trying to buy something, maybe in the same category as you're trying to buy. Or you could even pretend like you want to buy something, you're not buying anything. It's even be the cashier, the person at the job, at the um at the at the desk. It could be anybody. It could be the security person outside. People really love to be talked to. They are the ones that are assuming. Just think about your own self. Do you like to be talked to? I'm sure the answer is yes. Do you like to be talked to? The other people like to be talked to. That's just it. Technology seems to get people distracted, but people still love communication. So that's how to do research. It's good for you to talk to your families and friends, but keeping it as much the more strangers you talk to, the more you grow your confidence, one, and the more the more you would, apart from even growing your confidence, the more you would now learn stuff that are unbiased, unlike what your friends or your family will probably be calm or being kind about. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry, Kudirat, took a while to accept you. I didn't know. Let me just remove the waiting just in case. Okay, so in case you drop off, you can easily just join back immediately. So those are the things I have to say. I've spent a lot of time on that. So does anybody have any questions before we continue? Any questions? Any questions as relates to your own research or any questions at all? Okay. I assume there's no question and everybody's satisfied, which is good. Okay, so I had the intention of going through one for recruiters, but I wouldn't be doing that because of our time. So what we'll do now is, based on this, I would look for, I think I would look at, someone else submitted their Miro board. So I think this is Anne. Yeah, this is Anne. So I would share Anne's Miro board with you. Anne, who were you researching, recruiters or applicants?
Recruiters.
Okay, you're researching recruiters. Okay. Let's look at your own, and then I'll actually look at both Linda's own and then Anne's own. So we'll look at both of them and just and just see it. So this one is for recruiters, and it shows our interview findings and then the insights that she got. Let me share the screen. Okay, so here it is. Interview findings. So obviously, she spoke to 3 people, and now, so I remember last week when we were talking about documenting your interviews, we said that every single card, like this sticky note, should be such that when you read it, it makes sense on its own. That is, you can drag it away and it will make sense on its own. Now, I'm having a problem with this one because grills and small chops industry, I do not understand what that means reading it. Your documentation of your interview findings or your survey findings should be things that not just you, somebody else. You should be able to share this like as it is like this. The whole idea behind documenting this is that you should be able to click on share and share it with stakeholders, with the CEO of your company. Like, see, okay, look at the interview, look at the research I have done. These are the insights. You should be able to share this link with anybody. You should be able to convert this, download it as a PDF and send it in an email and say this is the result of the research we've done. So if you don't make it readable, understandable, like this now doesn't make any sense. Because of course you won't put the question here, so you can't put the questions to tie it to the answer. So you have to make it readable or understandable, I mean. So this, for instance, all these ones, they need to be, you need to redocument them. 15 years in business, 11 years in business, 6 months in business, these are understandable. So obviously I have an idea that you're saying that this person has been 15 years in business. Okay, this makes sense too. I have not placed adverts to recruit employees before. We use word of mouth referral to get employees. Good. We've been able to employ 15 people in the last 6 months. This is really good insight. Using word of mouth referral is very effective. Okay. We don't spend time to find the right applicant since we use word of mouth. We don't do interviews. This is a digital age. Using digital methods to recruit employees wouldn't be a bad idea. So I like all this. I like how you've documented your research, and these are good findings. These are well documented findings, at least from this side. Now let's see how she has grouped them together. We have this. She titled this one "Thoughts on Using a Digital Medium." Okay, so this is good. So I like this grouping. This is good. Business owners, industry. Okay, this is the industry they come from. Now it makes sense to me because I'm reading this part. So right from the beginning, let it make sense from this place. Okay. Time spent in finding right applicant. Takes me 1 month to find a good staff. So this is really good. These are nice insights. These are good insights. So now you're seeing, I'm sure you guys are seeing the difference between findings and insights. Findings, again, like I said last week, are things that the participant either said or did during the, in short, no, either said or behaved as such during your interviews. Meanwhile, insights are things that you deduced or your deductions, basically. So I like this. So these ones that have been written at the top are the major, I like the titles, are the major things you would say you draw out from this. So the only correction I would like to make is that when you want to write your insights, that is the ones that are at the top, make them okay, 2 options. It's either you do it this way and then somewhere beside you make a small list of what stands out here. What stands out here? What stands out here? I don't know if you guys get what I mean. Do you understand what I mean, guys? I need feedback.
No, no.
Not exactly.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
ma.
Okay. So let
Hello,
me.
ma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Okay. So
Yeah,
let
I
me.
understand what you mean, but I asked the same question last week,
Uh-huh.
and I was going to do the same thing. What you just condemned on first part of the Miro board where she puts the business names. Yes, after the arrow. Yes, yes. This was a question I asked last week. That is it also necessary to put the names of the either HR companies, organizations where we're actually carrying out this interview? If I hadn't seen this today, I was actually doing this too.
Okay, okay, no issues. Okay, so it's not bad, like I said last week, it's not bad to put the names if it is relevant to your research. If you think it's about you, you're the researcher. If you think it's relevant to your research, then yeah, it's not bad. I think I looked at Linda's own. I think she actually put names, which is actually not bad. So it may not
Yes,
be
like what I
it may
mean.
not even be real name itself. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yes. Yeah, what I mean, like after the R1 she has grills and small chops industry. You
Mm,
know, yes. You said it's not necessary, like where you have R2 pharmaceutical industry and then they make up this. This was my question last week.
okay, okay.
Yes.
I
So
think
in
for
place of the R1, for me, what I was thinking, in place of the R1, I have the name of the HR, the company there, and then the R2 I have. But if the format should be like this, okay.
okay, so I said this before and I want to say it again. How you decide to document your research is left to you. There's no wrong or right way. Number one, you just the rules, they're just general guidelines. Number one is let it make sense to somebody else. Number two, make sure you're not infringing on the rights of people by including what's it called? Um, information that are sorry, what they call confidential information. Yeah. Just make sure you're not including. They're just some basic rules. How you decide to document it, it's a cup of tea, really. Just making sure it makes sense to you when you come back later on, and it makes sense to somebody else that didn't do the research with you. As all. Those are just the rules. So I think for Linda, when I was looking at hers, it looks like she actually listed the names, for instance. So now I think Anne, in her own case, asked specifically what industry they came from. Anne, am I right?
Yes, ma, you're right.
Okay, so for those people that said they didn't understand what I meant, let me explain myself. This right here, for instance, thoughts on using a digital medium. I'm saying this is good. This is one approach. That is writing, for instance, years in business. Okay, all this is about what business owners don't like. Okay, this part is all about medium for recruiting employees. This is all good. But I'm saying there is another way you can do it because now this right here do not actually give us the information about what's on that. I still have to read each of these to know that okay, time spent in finding right applicant. I have to read okay. This one said it takes time to choose. Do you guys get what I mean now? Like it actually will require me to read everything under this to still get the point. This here is telling me what this is about, but it doesn't tell me specifically what it says. So what I'm saying is that the second style could be you can have it this way and then just have a different frame on the right hand side here and you just list out the points. More like what exactly is the insight. So the insight here could be, let me see, let me read this one. You can say this one said, okay, I don't prefer using digital means for an interview. This one says I wouldn't want to use any other means to select employees aside the one I'm currently using. So I don't know. This right here now is not very clear. So what means are you currently using? So you should have listed that on this place. So now it's not clear. It is a digital age. Using digital method to recruit employees won't be a bad idea. So maybe the insights from this one, at least for these two that are clear to me right now, maybe the insights could have been so most participants think that okay, can I even say well some participants think that digital means of interview is great, while some others believe it's not. That could be the insight. So that could have been what I was trying to say earlier is you could have written that as your title right here. Instead of saying thoughts on using a data medium, you could have just said some participants think this, some participants think that, and that could be what is here. So that immediately I read your title, I don't have to now drill in to still read this to understand what it means. Do you guys get what I mean now?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. Does every other person understand? I heard only one person's voice.
Oh yeah, yeah. I might have an idea of what you.
Okay, okay, an idea is good enough. All right, good. So, many other things are still missing from this board, guys. You're supposed to. Let me even see. What's supposed to be the other thing that should be on this board? And what's missing from
Empathy
the
map.
board? What do you say?
The empathy map.
Exactly. Your empathy map, or yes, your empathy map. Exactly. Your empathy map. I told you guys you could do it. It's a good thing for you to have an empathy map. It's more of a thinking thing. This is not design work. It's not like you're not sitting down using Figma or Adobe XD or any tool. This is you thinking like, okay, what exactly did this person say? What did they think? What did they do? How did they feel? So yeah, empathy map. Please do it. Then also your surveys, you need to document them too. Okay, let's look at Linda's one. This is Linda's board. She was interviewing. She was researching on applicants, and she spoke to 4 people. So her, like I said, she wrote the names of the people here. She wrote their names. So there's something about writing names. Again, it depends on you, but writing names just makes your research look and feel authentic. It makes anybody reading it know that, okay, this person actually didn't just cook up these results, they actually spoke to somebody, even though you could have sat in your house to still cook up the names, but it just makes it feel more authentic. Okay, so we have these got job via referral and blah blah blah, all these kind of things. Well, it's still the same. Okay, let me read this properly. Got job by directly applying to company. Okay, so these are actually clear on reading them. So job requirements don't match roles. Okay, so these are what the person thinks. Companies don't always put roles that matter on job listing sites. Only receive feedback when successful. Set alert. So these are good. So now let's look at how she has mapped it. So she called this affinity map. That's good. So okay. Okay, so I want to say something. Linda did this a bit, but not very consistently. It's a good thing that on every one of your sticky notes, and this applies to everybody, including Anne. I think she didn't do that. Let me look at it. Yeah, she didn't. So every one of your sticky notes, write participant 1, P1, 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 put it on every one of them. So I'm looking at how you did it here for P2, 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 P2. But it's a good thing to put it on all of them. Excuse me. Someone's trying to distract me. Okay, so it's a good thing to put it on every one of them, so that when you move your sticky notes out, like the way you have moved it here, when you move it around, it makes sense that, okay, this is this participant that said, so I don't just have to remember it by color code. It's a good thing to remember it also by writing the name, not just by remembering. So that's what I want to say about that. Okay. Okay, so next thing is I like this applicant pinpoint. The same thing I said for Anne applies here. It would be a good thing if you can, well, so what you can do here for something like this, Linda, and for everyone else, you can see here now. This one says searches for job on LinkedIn and Angel List, searches Glassdoor. This thing you spoke to 4 participants, so you can say that 3 out of 4 participants, I'm using that as an example, 3 out of 4 participants use Twitter, WhatsApp, Jobberman, I'm saying what you can write up here, so that this right here makes sense on its own. I don't have to read what is on that to make sense. So you can also, maybe you can have like 2 or 3 sentences on this page. This is drawing insights from your findings. So you should be able to write it here. So that when it is time for you to do your research report, you just pull out what you wrote from from all these themes, and just drop it. In your research report. That's it. I believe that makes sense. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, ma.
All right. Okay, so guys, we spent a little bit above an hour, but I'm glad that we've been able to do revisions on this. Please, if you have questions, please let me know now. Questions. Ask your questions. Waiting for you. Okay. I want to assume that nobody has questions, which again is a good thing. Okay, so like I said earlier, after we've done this revision, what I will try to rush through some of these things, and I will ask you guys questions and you answer. Some of these things will rush through there. Let me just show you. Let me present to you what we have to achieve today, so that you see it for yourself, and you know that interacting together is the only way we can get done in time. I'm sure you can see my screen. So these are the things we have to do today. We've done this while we're doing the first one. Information architecture, what is a user interface, understanding fidelity, finding design inspiration, user flows, paper sketches, intro to Figma, how to wireframe, and then these UI principles. We'll look at this like practical, you look at examples. Let's screen. And then the last part, which is accessibility. So we intend to follow all this. And what I'll do is I'll just ask you what you think about it. You tell me, 2 or 3 people per question will tell me what they think about it. And then based on that, and then I'll conclude, so that we can do this very fast. Many of this is theoretical. So let's start with information architecture. Who wants to tell me what information architecture is? All of you watch video on information architecture. I know I sent videos on it. So what is information architecture?
Information architecture.
Yeah.
It's how we organize the content on a site or wherever particular, how from high level to low level. So let's say I'm on a site that sells clothes, for example. How do I navigate how does the user see stuff, starting from the homepage down to that point where they see the specific information they're looking for? It's organized in such a way that it's easy to navigate and easy to understand.
Good. Okay. Someone else?
Okay, I would say information architecture is the structure of all the information that you have on your app or website. And it's also a practice of organizing content in an effective way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. One more person. One more person. We are more than 3 in this class, or 2 in this class. So one more person must speak. Oh yeah, one more person. Tell me what you think. Even if somebody has said it, repeat it.
Information. Okay.
Okay, yeah, 2 of you will talk. Oh yeah. Khalid first, then Mercy.
Okay, so information architecture is just how I didn't want to use the same word, but then it's just how contents in a particular website's application are arranged, and it's just I think it also applies to physical businesses too. Like it's how you arrange things you expect your customers to go through before getting to where exactly you want them to do. It's how you arrange different information. It's just basically a way of visualizing your user flow. That's just it, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I understand by it.
Fair enough. Good. Okay, Mercy.
Okay, I'll still use the word content because that is what it is. Content organization, okay, that makes so users can easily understand your product and without having issues.
Okay, that's really good. So everyone described it nicely. Let me pick something from what Khalid just said. So information architecture is not just about digital products. It also includes print product, includes how your customers can interface with the information. But in the sense of digital products, which is what we're trying to do in this class, um, it's what you guys have said. Let me just read one definition to you guys. Information architecture is a science. It said it's a science of organizing and structuring content of websites or web or mobile apps and even social media software. So um, it's basically about content, like you guys have said. There's no how you're going to talk about information architecture without content. It's about organizing content so that users can easily adjust or easily understand the functionality of that product and really be able to navigate easily without any extraneous effort. So that is what information architecture is. That's the definition of it. So I want to I'll play one video to you, one of the videos I sent to you guys on information architecture, just in case you've forgotten what it's about. I would want you guys to listen to it and then we'll just chat a bit about it. So it's in the sense of how it relates to sketches, because we're going to be talking about paper sketches somewhere along the line. So like very soon. Maybe we'll talk about it next. We'll flow from information architecture to make paper sketches. So I want to share. Let me share this with you. So you guys, definition, all right? I like definition. Kudirat said information architecture is how user is guided through an application. Cool, really cool. So let me share this screen.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today is part 4.
I wanted to know, were you guys hearing that while it was playing?
I only heard it for a split
Yeah, the sound came on.
Okay, you were hearing it basically. At least you heard it. I just wanted to be sure. Right?
Yes, I heard it.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
yes, yes.
Cool. Thank you for that. So I'll play it back from the beginning now.
4 in the series. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today is part 4 in the series where I'm showing you the behind the scenes of how I created this app design and case study for a smart diffuser concept. If you missed the first 3 videos, I'd recommend giving them a watch before you move on to this one, and I'd also recommend you check out the project on Behance for more context if you haven't seen it yet. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. So in the last couple videos, we planned for and completed our research and drew some conclusions from our interviews. And so now that we have a little bit of a feature list and things that we want to include in the app, now we're going to go through and start mapping them out using information architecture. But first, what we need to do is think about all of the touch points that are really important to make this experience successful. And what I mean by touch point is what different points of interaction are important to design for in this experience. And so this could be a lot of different things, some including an app, like a mobile app, a web app, an app on an iPad, an Apple Watch app. Those are all different touch points. Also, a potential touch point is a website, maybe voice like Alexa or the Google Home, notifications, and maybe even augmented reality. And lastly, of course, if there's a physical product involved, then that is also a really important touch point. So figure out for your project what are the important touch points that you need to design for. For me, it was the physical product, the diffuser, the mobile app, as well as the notifications. Okay, so once you've identified the important touch points and figured out which ones you're going to focus on for the project, then it's time to start the information architecture. So this is basically how you map out the flows of an interaction in a very basic way. So what features and what information are in what parts of the interface. So with the mobile app, it's common to have the first level be the tabs, which you would normally find on the bottom of an app. And so with a lot of moving things around, I settled on these final 4 tabs, which are rituals, diffuser, benefits, and settings. And to be fully transparent, this information architecture is not what I had originally put together in this phase. Whenever I was coming up with my features and sketching out the IA in the very beginning, it looked very different from this. And only after testing and reiterating did I come up with this final information architecture. So you just want to take your best guess of what's going to be the most successful. And then once you start sketching and designing, then this is definitely going to change. But it still helps you to map out what all of the important features and interactions are so that you can move on to the next step of sketching. It's also a great opportunity to start doing a little bit of UX writing on a very basic level. So for example, I decided to call these rituals. I decided to call the benefits tab benefits instead of health or progress or anything like that. So decisions like that can start to be made during this step in the process. And next, once you have a first draft of your information architecture web, then you can start some how you want this app to look and function, and it can be really, really rough. You do not have to get into making this pixel perfect or anything like that. In fact, you shouldn't. It's really just a waste of time at this point. So get out some sketching paper. This is the page that I use. I will link it below if you would like to print these out and use them. For me, it just saves me a ton of time. So once I printed those out, I printed out a ton of them so I could just kind of go to town and keep sketching and iterating on some different key moments. The first one that I started sketching with was creating a new ritual. And as you can see from these sketches, I have a ton of things crossed out. There are millions more pages that I didn't use and I'm not showing. This really is an iterative process, and so don't be hard on yourself when you're sketching. It's all about exploration and seeing what works. So what happens to me a lot of the time is I'll be sketching and then I'll hit a roadblock where I'm like, wait, no, this is not going to work. It has to be like this because you have to be able to get to this screen or you have to be able to do this. This is all stuff that's happening really quickly throughout my brain as I'm sketching. And it really just comes with practice, and not just practice in general as a designer, but practice specifically with this design problem. So give yourself a good amount of time for sketches. I would say more than just one day. I would sketch for a while, set them down, take a break, and then the next day come back to them, see what works and what's not working, go back with some more ideas, sketch again, and just keep doing that with all of the different moments or flows that you're going to be tackling. So like I said, since this is such an iterative process and a lot of it is happening like really quickly from my brain to my hands as I'm sketching and back and forth, it is a little bit hard to convey the process that I go through in a really detailed way. So if you have any specific questions about sketching, I encourage you to write them down below in the comments and I would love to answer them or maybe show you something that might be helpful. But again, it is hard to really convey the exact mindset that I'm in whenever I'm sketching. It's just something that's really personal, and I think if you're a designer, you totally get that. But I would love to help out if you have specific questions, so leave them down below. All right.
Okay, guys. So how was that? How was
That
that?
was insightful. That was insightful. I was able to
Okay.
learn.
Okay, so what stood out for you guys in what she said? So right now we're trying to cover both information architecture and sketching. So you can see it's kind of related, even with user flow. Actually, they're all related. So tell me what stood out for you guys. I want to hear from 3 people.
Okay, so what? Okay, so
Okay, Khalid, then Linda.
what stood out for me was just the in the information architecture part. What stood out for me is the fact that um you really don't have a particular or a set in stone idea set out for your information architecture. It's always due to be reiterated. Like once you've proceeded, it's all you get to a point where you'd have to maybe restructure how you did it, and it's not like you have to go into it having a specific idea and that's the idea you're going to use. It's bound to change. It's iterative. Then for the sketching part, I had always thought there's a particular way I'm meant to sketch for other people to understand. But really, understanding that it's a personal thing to an extent just makes it more fun than just living. The main point there is it's nice to know that somebody else thinks has to be personal. That's just it.
Okay, okay, that's cool. Okay, Linda or anyone else.
For me, I always felt that the process of creating the information architecture of a site is something that like it's linear. Like when you finish this, you then go on to create the information architecture, and when you're completely done, then you now go on to the next thing. But then from the way she described how she did it, I found like, okay, even in the past designs that I've done, the moment I just say, okay, the home button is going to be here, even though I didn't do a grand ceremony to choose that it's going to be there, I actually indirectly did the IA of it all. The only thing is that we don't go about the process of actually documenting what's happening in our head.
Mm, that's deep. Thank you for thank you for that, Linda. Okay, one more person, please.
Well, for me, what I could pick there was practicing a sketching design problem. That is, just keep on practicing and practicing till you really perfect your sketching. Thank you.
Okay, okay, cool. Does anybody have something to say?
So
Okay, yeah.
when you mentioned practice just now, I just remembered one thing she said also. She was like the she was like while practicing, she was able to come up with new ideas, and the more ideas she got came from her understanding the project more and more by practicing the project itself. So understanding the project really gives you more insight on how you're going to go about the whole sketching and IE thing.
Okay, that's really good. I'm glad you guys learned all this from it. So, okay. Okay, somebody left a comment. What's going on with Zoom? Excuse me, guys. Okay, so Kudurat left in the comment saying iteration is a complete process. Okay, though she sent it privately to me. Okay, so iteration is a continuous process. Exactly. So you guys really got it. So a few things that I want to point out to you guys from the video is that she mentioned sketching, and then she was talking about how when she's sketching, sometimes she realized that, oh, this has to come before this, and in those kind of processes, that's what we call user flow. So now there are 2 different ways you can do this. You can decide to draw your user flow before you start sketching, or you can decide to sketch, and based on your sketching, your iterative sketches over time, then you now come back and then create your user flow from it. So it depends on you. I wouldn't say there's a right and wrong way. It seems from the video that she does her sketches, then she draws out the user flow from it. So I, for one, prefer to draw my user flow first. So I have a general user flow, and user flow is just simply saying from this point to the next point to the next point is how I'm going to go. For instance, someone will first register my platform, then log in, then after login, go to the dashboard, just basically just drawing that out, just writing it down, actually writing it down on paper. Or if I want to use a tool like Miro, I just draw rectangles and say this rectangle, register, then the next one, login, then the next one, dashboard, from next one. Okay, so dashboard, from dashboard there are 4 different ways you can go. So she actually showed, I think she showed that somewhere along the line in a video of our user of info. So it could be called, okay, let me tell you guys something. 2 things you do, or 2 artifacts, 2 things that you document when you're trying to do your information architecture are your user flow. Your user flow is one very important thing that shows the information architecture of your whole application. The second one is then your sketches. So user flow, like I said, is my preferred way of doing it first, and I think it's actually the right way. Actually think so, and that's what I think I'll tell you guys to do. So do your user flow. Even if you're doing it on paper, you just write, like I said, register, login, and this and that and that, whatever it is. And like I said, I wanted you guys to collaborate, work together as a group when it comes to coming up with ideas, brainstorming on ideas on features. Now, she mentioned something. The second thing I noticed that she mentioned was she talked about feature lists. So, and she said that at the beginning of the video. She said, now that you have your feature list, you've done your research and you have your feature list, based on that, now it's time for you to start sketching and then you user flow. That was what she said. So it means that before you start talking about or doing your information architecture, you should have a list of the ideas you want to. In short, you have a list of ideas. You must have agreed on the 1 or 2 ideas you're going to implement in the solution. And then after doing that, you should have then said, okay, fine, for this idea, what are the features that this idea must have? For instance, let's say the idea from the point of view of applicants is to say, okay, let me say from point of view of recruiters first. So for recruiters, I could say, I want to be able to, I want the app to, based on my research now, I see that it's difficult for people, for recruiters or business owners to view so many job applications that come by email. So one feature idea is a way of sorting CVs when they come in. You could now think about it a bit more, like, okay, way of sorting. Okay, so what could that be? Okay, so maybe it is sorting CVs by job by experience. Let me say that one for instance. Just sort CVs by experience. So you can say, maybe in my so this is just you listing stuff down. The more you list, the more you write things down, the more it gets clearer in your head. So you just keep on writing ideas. So make them features. I'm talking of features now, not ideas. So now another feature could have been, I want to be able to I want to be reminded. So I want the recruiter to be reminded. So as a recruiter, I want to be reminded of CVs that has been sent that I've not reviewed, or giving feedback to applicants. Or another feature could be, I want to automatically give feedback to applicants. So I want an automated feedback. So you can just list these things down. So based on this feature list you have, that's when you can now say information architecture. So now for this one idea, how would it be implemented? You can now start drawing sketches. All this is actually a fun process when you think about, when you start writing things and you say, okay, now let me start sketching this. The third thing I want to point out to you guys from shots, you guys have said it already. I think Khalid or someone else said it, which is that the process of sketching, the process of architecting information is an iterative process. And yes, it's a personal process. It's not something that you would show to somebody. You're not mandated to show your sketches to anybody else. It's most of the time it's for your documentation purpose. It's only in cases where you're working in a very rapid, very rapid environment, in a very rapid space, and then things have to happen so quickly. And you'd be like, okay, so because ideally when you do your sketches, you're supposed to convert them to wireframes. So wireframes you now share. The wireframes you create with maybe Figma or Adobe XD. That one you share with the team. So if you have to deliver very quickly, you could say, okay, for these sketches, I can just screenshot it, take a picture of it, and send it to my colleague. It's not something you can send to. You don't send paper sketches to your clients that paid you some good money. No, it's usually for very quick feedback from people that would understand sketches. So yeah, so it's an interactive process and it's a personal process. That's the other thing to say. Now the last thing I want to point out to you guys about information architecture and paper sketching is the use of you see the thing that she said she had a link that to that's the frame for mobile apps, for instance. It's called stencil. So the use of stencils when you're sketching, it's actually a really good one. So you use stencils to basically sketch because you don't have to start drawing your mobile app. So it's like she said, it could be downloaded online. If you just Google mobile app stencil, or if you're designing for a web app, or that is like for desktop. If you're designing for desktop, you can see desktop stencils, and it helps to create that structure. Now, let me be honest. Most of the time, I don't use stencils when I'm designing. I don't use stencils. Most of the time, I use A4 sheets, sheet of paper, simple sheet of paper. I just take an A4 paper. If I'm designing for mobile app, I take it A4 paper. I don't have an A4 paper beside me here, so I take that A4 paper. I just fold it into two. After folding into two, I fold it again into two. So that right there is my one screen of my mobile app. That's just what I used to sketch. So I use that for my boundaries. If it's still big, if it is still big, I can fold it again. So it depends. So you can use that, or if you're designing for mobile app, you can turn it landscape and use that. So that's what I most of the time use for my purposes. Lastly, I'd like to tell you guys I should always document your sketches. Don't sketch something and then throw it away and then dispose of your papers. No, you should have a file where you keep all these things. They are your keepsake. As a matter of fact, there are some projects that or there are some jobs you would apply for, some things that you would want to send. In short, in your final project report, you would actually show screenshots of your sketches or your paper sketches. Even though it's a personal thing to you, it's good for people to understand the process you went through to come up with that beautiful solution in the end. Okay, so that's that about information architecture and even paper sketching. So that's about it. Now, what do you think user interface means? So let's quickly talk about that. What's a user interface? What's a user interface? I'm waiting for
Okay, for me, a user interface is basically what the user sees. The buttons, the font style, the font size, just basically what the user sees on the mobile or web application.
Okay, good. One more person. Tell me, what do you think what's a user interface?
A user interface, they are the elements that make up what the user sees in a product. The physical part of the product, if it's a physical product, or in the case of a mobile app, the elements that make up the mobile app itself.
Okay, so fair enough. One online definition is, let me see, what does Wikipedia say about this? It said a user interface is the space where interactions between humans and machines occur. So that's a user interface. Someone else said the user interface is the point at which human users at which human users interact with a computer, website, or application. So yeah, a user interface could be digital or may not be digital. So in the sense of digital interfaces, it is, yeah, I like what Kodirat said. User interface is what the user sees and interacts with. Spot on. So it could be digital or it may not be digital. So basically that's it. So we have covered that. Spot on. Any questions? Feel free to ask questions though. You are free to ask questions anytime. Okay, no questions. That's a really good thing.
No, sorry, madam.
Yes.
Please, you say it could be digital or non-digital. Please, can you explain some non-digital products that make use of?
Okay, of user interface. Yeah, that's fair enough. So who uses a treadmill to exercise? Is there anybody that uses a treadmill to exercise? Yeah? Like, you know how to use all those things to exercise. I have one where I am right now, but I didn't climb it. So that's an example of a user interface. Those buttons that are right on top of it, where you press, want to increase the speed. Or let me see, as a pilot, you want to fly a plane. That whole place, all those, that the cockpit where they manipulate things, that's a user interface. A lift, thank you, Mercy. A lift, when you enter a lift and you want to go to the 3rd floor or the 5th floor, I have to press something. That is a user interface. So user interfaces are everywhere. It's not limited to the what's it called, to the digital world. So is that clear now?
Yeah, okay, I get now.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about fidelity. Someone should tell me what they think fidelity means. Fidelity. As per low, mid, high. What do you even think it means? Let's talk about that.
Detailedness.
Detailedness. Awesome. Okay, I like that. Someone else? See, there's no wrong or right answer. Feel free to just talk. You're not being graded based on that. You're not being graded whether you're right or wrong. Yeah, go on.
I think fidelity is about how close an image or a representation is to real life.
Good. Okay, one last person. One last person. Go on. See, I will grade you guys based on participation, not on whether you were correct when you participated. That's the thing. So if you don't participate in my class, I grade you low. That's just me. So it's not about whether you knew what you were saying, it's about whether you even participated. So I need one more person to tell me what they think. Even if somebody has said it, repeat it.
Okay, I think fidelity basically shows how the product will function.
How the product will function. Okay. So Kudirat sent in this. She said fidelity is quality. Okay. Anybody else? Let's do one last person.
Okay, madam, let me say fidelity can be divided into two. That's the low fidelity and the high fidelity. Where the low fidelity include the sketches, the rough sketches, and the high fidelity is the main design. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so you guys have actually answered very well. So detailedness, how real it is to real life, quality, the fact that there's low, there's high. So you guys actually answered well. Okay, so let me tell you. Let me look for one definition to read to you. I like to just read definitions sometimes. So someone said when you say design fidelity refers to the level of details and functionality built into a prototype. So that's a definition, the level of detailedness and functionality built into a prototype. So that covers something somebody said detailedness, and what somebody else said, which was how real it is, or how close it is to real life. So that's really good. Now there are actually three levels of fidelity. There's low fidelity, there's mid fidelity, and then there's high fidelity. So I want to share my screen and show you guys examples of something. So just one screenshot here. So before I do that, so I'll give you examples. Low fidelity is things like sketches. Or if you do stuff on your what's it called, sticky notes. Basically, those kind of things that you do very quickly, that are great for brainstorming and for very quick iterations, are low fidelity. Now, mid fidelity is most of the time what we call wireframes, so which is like the one that it's still like sketches, but it's more real. It's what you would use Figma, which is what we're going to do like very, very shortly now. So that's like what mid fidelity is. That's more like wireframes. Meanwhile, high fidelity are the ones that are closer to reality. They are the closest to reality because they imitate the real colors, the real typography you use. They also show the actual spacing. They also show even interactions depending on how high fidelity you make it. So they show interactions like, okay, if you mouse over a button, what effect will it show? If you click something, how will it transition to the next page? Those are high fidelity. So let me show you the screen that just clarifies that very simply. So this right here is low fidelity because this is like sketches, like the one that lady was doing in the video we saw. The one I told you I do it on papers, I fold papers together and I just sketch things. Those are low fidelity. Then mid fidelity are usually like wireframes, and then this is like the high fidelity of this same design. Now the difference now in the question would be, why would you bother doing all these three? I know somebody might be wondering, why would I go through all these three processes when I can just go straight to this one and just do it? Now, the reasons why you go through this is, firstly, sketches such as low fidelity such as sketches are great for iterations, like you rightly saw in that video that the lady was doing. Also, it helps you to quickly sketch out ideas that are in your head for iterations and all that. Now, as much as it's good and it's probably going to be the closest thing in the end after you've iterated, it's going to be the closest thing to what you're going to do in the end. You can't send that to a client and say, "Oh, I finished your work, bye bye." You can't even give that to a developer and say you should develop based on it. You can't even share it with high-level stakeholders and say, "Okay, guys, this is the direction we are headed." You can still share wireframes with high-level stakeholders to get their input. You can even prototype wireframes because you do this on tools like Figma, like I'll show you guys shortly. So that's the idea behind mid fidelities. Then high fidelity, of course, is the closest. So the reason why you may interface from, you may go straight from sketch. Sometimes, okay, so let me tell you, in reality, sometimes you may go straight from this kind of sketch straight to this level, depending on how much time you have. If you're working on a project that you have people that are really great with understanding, maybe tech people, let me say it that way, people that are tech savvy, so you can actually get their full feedback based on this, and you may not need to go through the mid fidelity and just go straight to high fidelity. So it depends on the kind of team you're working with, the kind of project, whether it's a client or whatsoever. Depends on a lot of stuff like that. So do you have any questions at all before we continue? Any questions? Okay, no questions. That's good. Okay, so now we've covered by quite a bit. What I want to show you guys shortly is examples of user flows, what your user flow would probably look like. So I'll get one to show you guys shortly. Okay. Before showing you guys that, while I'm trying to pull that up and pull up the screen, I want to hear what you guys think about accessibility. So when you hear accessibility, what do you think that means?
Ease of use for everybody possible.
Okay, ease of use for everybody possible. Okay, anybody else?
Accessibility is just taking into consideration all sorts of people that would possibly use your app. Just having an idea of people that might end up using the app and designing the app specifically for those different groups.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? One more person.
Yes,
Yeah.
Accessibility is an easy to use app or design or anything, as long as it's easy to use, not confusing, direct use. That's
Okay.
all right.
Okay. Thank you very much for those feedback. Okay. Fair enough. So you guys mostly got it. Now, I want to separate two things. I want to separate what we call usability from accessibility. Usability is the fact that usability is the level of ease in using an application generally, just saying, oh, this app is easy to use based on testing it with real life users, and then you measure how easy it's used to use or whether it was not easy to use. That's usability. Meanwhile, accessibility is similar to what Linda initially said, which is it has to do more with some standards that you have to follow when you're designing for certain group of people, especially people with disability, people disabilities such as maybe visual impairment or hearing impairment or limited dexterity, or people that are not very tech savvy. The reason why let me not tell you the reason. Why do you think accessibility is important? Let me hear what you think.
Okay, I think accessibility is important to break down restriction. If these categories of people, if it's open for everybody, both those with physical ability and disability, or so accessibility is important for
Okay.
general purpose use, no restriction.
Okay. Okay, so let me ask another question. Can someone tell me, how do you think you can make an application more accessible? Let me hear your thoughts. You can feel free to make an example. Just think about it. How can you make an app more accessible? What are things that pop into your head when you think of accessibility?
Um,
Yes.
brightness, lightness of screens.
Come again.
How bright or dark a screen might be.
Okay, so
There are
that's
so many kind
contrast.
of
That's
things.
contrast. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Some people.
contrast. That's good. Go
Yeah.
on.
Also,
I,
responsiveness.
Responsiveness. Okay, so hold on. I want to make a note of what you are saying, and then you guys will tell me what you think. So someone said brightness of screen, and I said that's probably like contrast. Then somebody else said responsiveness. So go on. Okay.
language,
Come again.
language,
Language. Great. Okay. Somebody else. Khalid, are you speaking? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I said fonts. The
Font.
font used, the style.
Okay. Font. So basically font style and size. Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Then optimization
What do you mean by optimization?
that makes the maybe the page to load. Like if it's overweighty, it may not load quickly, and the user may not
Okay,
have to
so
express.
that's speed optimization. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Anybody else?
think use of colors.
Use of colors. Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, okay, that's very good. I like this feedback. Now let me start from the first one. Contrast. Contrast is you guys have made really great points. So contrast is important because different people have, okay, from the elderly people, let's talk about elderly people first. The older most people become, the more difficult it is for them to read certain things and certain things. So this has to do with use of colors. A little bit has to do with use of colors that Anne said. So when you're using so I want you guys to always be thinking about this when you're designing. That's why we're talking about this. It's very important. So make notes of them. Contrast is important because there are certain colors and we'll look at it shortly once I open Figma now. There are certain colors that you don't use. I mean, for font color, you don't use them on some certain kind of backgrounds. It may be good, it may be okay for you to read. You might not have problem reading it, right? But there are certain people that will have problem reading it. There are tools that we use to assess or to check the level of accessibility of of a design. So we'll get to that. If we can't touch on that today, we'll touch on that next week. So we'll touch on that we'll still talk more about accessibility next week when we are testing your designs, when we're looking at testing of our designs. So now for responsiveness is important because responsiveness is basically the fact that somebody can be able to sit on different device screens. So if you don't make your device accessible to people that commute a lot, so this is not just about the blind or the deaf. This is also involving the location that people are when they are using your solution. So that's why that is important. Language, I like language because if you're, let me give you guys an example. Okay, I'll give you guys the example after I'm done. So language is important because if you're, say, designing a solution for Yoruba people, in short, if you're designing something for Niger Delta people, and these people speak more of Pidgin, and you're going to be writing some Queen's English, or you are going about writing some high and mighty something, and you're designing an app, I think it will make more sense to just design your app using Pidgin. So that's why language is important. Also, when you're designing something for international audience, maybe you're designing something for people in French-speaking countries, that French is the major language they speak. You don't go and start writing it in English because you're an English-speaking designer. So font style and size, very important as well. Has to do with what we were saying earlier on. It relates a bit to even colors. That is important because, again, for eyes, people have different levels of seeing things. Speed optimization, very important. People have different levels of data that they have. People don't have the same level of patience. People might just even, in short, while your page is loading, you should probably be showing them an information. Let's imagine you have a registration page. Somebody enters their email address and their password and their first name and their last name. They're trying to register on your solution. But while they click on register, it's going to take a few seconds, right? It's going to take a few seconds for that solution for it to be saved to the back end, basically to the database. Now, if you don't think as a designer and say, okay, what are we going to show the user in between that period of time between when the thing is still rolling like this? So that's where you start thinking of, okay, what if their internet is slow? It's slower than average. What if it's faster than average? What will you show? How will they interact? So those are great ways of looking at accessibility as well. Now, let me give you the example I wanted to give you. There's a solution. There was an app I was working on. So I joined the team and we're going to work on an app. And now our major demography are illiterates. They are drivers, basically. These are people that drive big trucks. You know, all these Hausa people here in Nigeria now that drive all those huge trucks. Now, that's one of the major group of users. And what these people did was to created a mobile app, a smart app that these people will be using. Now, major flaws that they made, in my own opinion, was number one, writing that in English, writing the words there in English. Number two is even, I think, the fact that it was even created as a smart app, a regular app that just has text and everything. I think that was a huge flaw. So I think accessibility was not really thought about when creating that solution for those group of people. What could have been done is where you start thinking of voice activated solution. Probably they'll just click a button or just open the app and it starts speaking to them. Like all those, those things when you call Airtel or MTN and then they say something, press 1 if you want to hear English, or you press 2 if you want to hear Hausa. That's how to think as a designer. It's not all about fancy or beautiful. It's not about you. You're not designing for yourself. You're designing for the people that are going to use it. So what happened on that solution I'm referring to is that, yes, answering machine, yes, thank you, Mercy. So what happened on that solution is that they created it and the people were not using it. They were not using it and they were like, why are the people not adopting the app? Why is there no tech adoption? Blah, blah, blah. And my very first thing is that we have not put into account accessibility. this solution is beautiful, is high, it's mighty, is wonderful, but for this group of people, well, from the beginning, I believe that even research was not properly done. Because if research was properly done, you will have found out the group of people that you're designing for, you will have known how to design for them. So that's it about accessibility. And now we've spoken a lot. Most of what we've talked about is for two groups of people: people that are visually impaired and people that have limited dexterity. But we've not really talked about people that have hearing impairment. So tell me, how do you think you can design for people that have hearing impairment? Okay, let me rephrase my question before someone answers. Imagine you were designing, let's say you were designing this app that we're trying to work on. In the midst of the people that you're working for, let's say, in short, as a matter of fact, you should actually think about it while you're designing, even for the applicant side. So if you're designing this solution, and there are actually people that have hearing impairments that are going to be using it. So what are some ideas that popped into your head that you would put into account to design for them?
For those kind of people, they will appreciate more visual representation, what they say.
Okay, okay, good. Okay. Hold on, guys. I made a mistake actually. So I meant that we've spoken more for people that have hearing impairments and people that have limited dexterity, because people that have hearing impairments can actually see, and we've talked about a lot about font colors and all that. So I meant it the other way. So what would you do for people that have visual impairments? That's the actual question. Visual impairments. Tell me what will
Visual,
you.
do you mean just blindness, or could I include color blindness in it?
Come again.
When you say visual impairment, do you mean absolute blindness, or is color blindness included?
So both are actually visual impairment. So speak. You can say for anyone. Let me hear your thoughts.
Okay. So if it were color blindness, first off, we know that they don't see things through the normal vision. So while designing, in your choice of colors, in your choice of font size, in choice of contrast, you should consider using things that are generally acceptable for majority of impairments. I know that there are some sites that actually filter your designs to see, make you see how they are through colorblind people's eyes, and you can test through different color blindness. Then for someone that is completely blind, um, we should look at how to adopt things like how they type. Like I know, like for Apple devices, there's actually a braille keyboard for blind people. We should also make sure our designs are something that screen readers can easily pick up when they are detecting screens and everything.
Exactly. Okay. Any other thoughts? I like that feedback from I think that was Linda. That was really good. So any other thoughts? In short, there has to be other thoughts. Somebody else should speak up. I want to hear what's in your mind. Mercy says spot on. Unmute your mic and repeat everything she said.
Okay, but it's the same. It's the same thing. The visually impaired people have a way. It's kind of technology they use in reading. They have how they learn to read and how to write too. So, like she said, I think the first time I saw something like that on Apple phone was in a movie. Sorry, an Apple laptop was in a movie. The lady was actually blind, and I was wondering. Then I didn't know about things like this. I was wondering how is she able to send message, but because it was actually provided. So if we have to we're putting them into consideration, we have to study how they study too, and then bring that into play.
Okay, that's very good. That's very good. Okay. That's all good. You guys have said it all, honestly. So One more thing you can do. Okay, Obafemi, do you want to speak?
Yes, I wanted to talk about screen readers and the
Yes.
use of particular elements that can make accessibility more seamless for visually impaired people. It's HTML standard.
Come again. Say that again, please.
I said accessibility is enhanced for visually impaired people by screen readers when you use particular semantic
Ah,
tags
yes.
in your
Yes.
HTML.
Yes. So actually, Bafemi just said what I was about to say. Let me read Kudirat's first. She said, for people that are completely blind, voice, keyboard, and screen reading should be included. Exactly what I was going to say. So you guys just took it from my heart. So I was going to say that when you're designing, you can use screen readers, but Obafemi just said the thing. If the front end person that's going to translate your design to code, if the person while he was writing the code did not make use of certain tags, so you as a designer should be aware of some of these things. So if they did not make use of some of these things by using some standards, some accessibility standards which are available for developers, if they not use them, then there's no way the screen readers will work. That's just it. So there's actually a science behind that. If you're interested, feel free to just do a bit of a research on that. Okay, wow. I'm glad we've covered that. So I want to quickly show you guys this user flow I said I was going to show you earlier on before we just pop into Figma and we'll round off from there. We might round off from there. Yeah. So user flows could be as basic or as complicated as you like. I like the simpler ones. The simpler, the better. The user flow could just be like this. So this was something I was doing. You can have like, just for you to say, okay, the first screen, this is my role. So I expect you guys to just have a new frame, like we talked about last week. A new frame. The very first screen that shows, maybe it's a splash screen. A splash screen, by the way, for those that don't know, is that screen that shows that it could be just the logo that is there. Maybe on like Instagram, if you load Instagram, so you probably just, okay, Instagram doesn't do that. Let me say Facebook. Facebook does it. So to probably show you Facebook logo and show there for like 1 or 2 seconds and then it shows the next screen. So that's a splash screen. So maybe for your own app, if it's a splash screen that will show, then for new users, the next thing would be for them to sign up. Then maybe for existing users, the next thing would be for them to log in, and then on your sign up, what would you have? Just list it outside of it: first name, email, password. So this is a very basic user flow, and this is what I'm expecting from you. Nothing fancy, a very basic user flow. So this is more, again, a thinking assignment. If you don't have battery on your laptop, this is something you can do. Sketch on paper. You can do it on paper. Write clearly as possible. When you're done, screenshot it, or if you have time later on when you have a laptop, you just draw it on your Miro board. So if you screenshot it, you can later on take a screenshot and just drop your image here. You can actually upload, drag and drop images inside your Miro board. Very cool feature. Okay, so we have this diamond, which is meant for decision. So you could be saying, okay, when somebody wants to log in, you'll be asking them the question. This is an internal decision. It doesn't mean you actually ask them when you want to log in, whether they're recruiter or applicant. This could have been implemented inside the system saying, okay, we'll check whether this particular person is an applicant or a recruiter. So based on that, you show them, maybe there's a dashboard that is different from recruiters, dashboard different from applicants. So what I could have done here is to say, let me do something. So I just duplicated that one by using Control D or Command D if you're using a MacBook. So here I'll double click on this line and write recruiter. It's very tiny, so you can increase the size of the font if you like. Where is the size? It's here. Okay, no, sorry, this is it here. 14, maybe 18. So maybe this is the one that will show recruiter. So I'll just say recruiter's dashboard. And then maybe this one, I would say this is my applicant's dashboard. So yeah, I'll draw this line to this one. I can change it to this type. Then I can double click on the line again and write applicant. So this is a simple user flow that I've started right here. And then you, based on this, you keep on drawing the next thing. So I'll probably not have this here. I can extend my frame by clicking on the name here and just extend it so I can have more space wherever I need it. And you just keep on drawing it. So like I said earlier, you can do this on paper, you can decide to do it straight away on Miro. I prefer doing it straight on the system. So if there are any points you need to note about maybe recruiter's dashboard, you can just write the points outside there. Just get a text, just click on T here and write what you want to write here. No, I didn't click on it. Yeah, just write whatever it is I want to write here. So you can keep on writing points so that when you're, so that when you're sketching, so this is why I said I do my user flows before I sketch. So when I want to sketch now, I'll come and say splash screen, what will I have? I'll just draw it on paper, draw a rectangle and put logo. I'll just write logo. That's all. I've done splash screen for that screen. I'll show you guys an example of a sketch now. So does anybody have any questions on user flow?
So how are you sure of the information you require for every single screen, or is it just like for now, it's just like an assumption that you can still change later?
And what do you mean by assumption? Please ask that question differently.
Okay, so like for the screen, like okay, for the sign up screen there, you had first name, email, password.
Okay. Okay.
For other screens, like for this one, it seems quite basic. It's not much to get wrong, but when you start going deeper into your user flow,
like maybe your recruiter's dashboard, for instance.
Exactly. So how are you sure of what should be there or what shouldn't be there? Eventually, I know you would come to change it a lot, but that first thought, is it just, especially when you're trying to connect it to what you got from your research before
Okay, I get your question. So remember what that lady said, that the whole process is very iterative. It's not a one-off and you're done. So for instance, if I was going to write something here, I'll probably say I'll have a welcome session, maybe a welcome message. So I could write that, okay, that's a thought, something I'm going to include. Something else I might include, and I can put it in pointers, what I like about Miro. I can even increase the size. Let me increase the size first. Okay, so something else I might say is, what else do I want to have on the screen? Basically, at this point in time, you're not going into too much details. I like to do user flows because it helps me to crystallize the thoughts, to start writing down the features. So you don't have to wait till when you start sketching, because for me, if I sketch straight from my head without user flows, I tend to do too many iterations of sketches. So I'd rather iterate my user flows right here, or maybe it was on paper, than to be iterating every time. So what you would do while doing your user flows from the beginning, you just be doing it first. Anything that changes in your mind, I'd be, okay, this doesn't make sense. Okay, you go back, change it. Okay, so maybe I wouldn't ask for first name alone. Maybe I'll ask for last name. Maybe it's important now, so I'll add last name to it. Okay, so maybe when I reach further down the line, okay, from this recruiter's dashboard now, there could be many action points. So what are the things a recruiter may want to do from this? I can say, okay, the next thing would be check CVs, or maybe so now this is where it gets very deep. So you could have a flow for the recruiters from the point of view of a first-time recruiter. You could have this kind of decision again now, somewhere, and say, is this person a new user or an existing user? So if it's a new user, it could be a different flow. If it's an existing user, it may be a different flow. So maybe for a new user, you might, of course, they may not have any, they obviously won't have any CVs that will have been submitted to them. So maybe for a new user, it could be create your first vacancy or something like that. So those are the kind of thoughts that you would put down. Do you get what I mean now? I think that was Linda. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so it's not something that is set in stone. It's very fluid. Very, very. By the time you're done, when you say you are done with your user flow, you, like she said in that video, you would go. You can come back with fresh eyes after an hour or two and come back and be like, okay, let me look through this whole thing again. I just scan through. If it still makes sense to you at that point in time, you know you're done. And based on that, you can now start doing your sketches. So now your sketches will now be focused on information architecture, solely focused on information architecture, not on features. So because you will have done all your featuring and everything and the whole flow in your user flow. So that's usually my recommended approach. Any questions on that? No questions. That's awesome. I see one person has actually dropped off. I'm trying to find out who that person is. Who's that? Who's that? Oh, that's Mercy. Okay. Okay, so fair enough. Now, I was actually expecting you guys to ask one question. Nobody's asking. The question is, would you be drawing user flow for both recruiters and applicants? Nobody asked that question. Um, hmm. So, it's actually an important question. And yes, you guys will be drawing your user flows for both recruiter and applicants. Because it's actually a lot of work and I acknowledge a lot of work, which is why I am recommending that you guys do that group work I suggested to you last week before you start doing your user flow. Do the group work where you guys will come together. Maybe individually you could have listed different ideas. Come together, start coming up with some feature ideas, features ideas, so that by the time you're on your own and you want to now do your user flow, to be based on what you as a group have bounced off each other. So I'm recommending you guys have a brainstorming session. I know you guys didn't do it last week. For your own good, do it. If you're in a group that people are not very participative, you can now go ahead and start doing this yourself. Well, in reality, like I've said many times, you'll be doing most of these things by yourself. But I'd still like you guys to work in a group. But this user flow and your sketches, you do everything for both recruiter and applicants. Everything. And again, this assignment I'm giving you guys, this first assignment, has nothing to do with computer. You can do it all on papers, with paper and biro. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay, yeah, sure.
From the way you grouped us 4 people for recruiters, 4 people for applicants. So if you're saying we're working in groups, the 2 groups will come together so we can get like the insights from the recruiter side.
Okay, so initially, okay, I understand your question. That's a good point. So, okay, so initially, you guys should just do your individual groups first. Come up with ideas based on recruiters, like the recruiters group. You guys should come up with ideas and feature lists. Very important. Do it individually. I mean, no, when I say individual, I don't mean like as a person, but I mean as a group. Recruiters group, do that. Applicants group, do that. It can be a screenshot if you guys did it on paper. If you did it on Miro, screenshot it and send it in the group. I'll be watching. Screenshotting and sending in the group. The other people will see this. The other group will see. Both parties will see what recruiters party will see. Recruiters group will see applicants own. Applicants group will see recruiters own. So based on that, you guys will now be able to go ahead with your work. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. It does. Much better.
Any other questions?
What are we dropping on the group? Is it the ideas? Or
I can hardly hear you, Anne. Can you speak up, please?
is it the ideas we have to drop on the groups, the main group?
Okay, so what I said was that it depends on how you want to go about it. I would recommend that you as a person, Anne, will have given some thought to based on your research, you'll have given some thought to it. So you'll have written some things down on your own. Then your own group, which could have been maybe recruiters group, you come together as a group and say, okay, this is what I have, this is what I have, this is what I have. Okay, fine, let us vote on some ideas. So you guys will vote on some ideas, have some feature list, feature which could be, okay, so we'll have a section for recruiters to be able to view CVs. Okay, we'll have a section for recruiters to be able to schedule responses. Okay, we'll have a section for recruiters to be able to chat with applicants. Those are some feature ideas. So as a group, you guys should come up with feature. So you can call it idea, you can call it feature. I don't want to bother about the names, but basically come up with features that your group, maybe recruiter, think that we should go about, as in just come up with that list. Applicants group will do the exact same thing. You guys should just screenshot what you've done, send it on the group, and all these things can be done within 30 minutes. It's not even, it's a brain work. If you're doing some of your own work on your own, when you guys come together, you don't spend much time. Do you understand that? And is my response clear?
Yes, my very well. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay. Thank you too. Okay, so let me quickly show you guys sketches before we come and wrap it up with Figma. I will not spend too much time on Figma because I already gave you guys some assignments before we started this whole training 2 weeks ago, and you guys did excellently well. So we'll not spend too much on introduction to Figma. Probably not spend more than 5 minutes actually. So paper sketch. I'm sure you can see this screen. It's a little bit blurry. I don't know. I think my internet or something. So this were paper sketches, stuff I did on actual paper, and I just took pictures with my phone and I uploaded it right here on Miro. And then I wrote some description at the top of what this screen is about. Screen one shows landing. Okay, it's showing clearer now. So that was what that's like your paper sketches. So just have a frame that you just title paper sketches. So I call this one iteration one because I had an iteration two. I don't know if I put it here. I had a couple of iterations on this particular project. So yeah, and then based on my sketches, all up until this point, you can use your paper and biro. You don't need computer up to this point. Now, when it comes to wireframing, this is where you need a tool like Figma, which is what I want to show you guys now. So let me quickly log into Figma. I know everybody already has Figma accounts. I made you guys open one already. So I will just log into mine. I believe you can see my screen. So I've just logged into this, and then I will just go here, plus, and I have a new file. So right here, we have this here. This is frame. So because I'm working on a mobile app, I will choose phone. And then I'll choose, I like to work with iPhone X, but if you're designing for Android, you would probably choose Google Pixel or maybe Android. I just choose Android. So let me use this one. And it drops it right here for me. Immediately, I might just rename this to splash screen. So I'm following that user flow I showed you guys earlier on, the one that was not complete. So based on that one, I have this splash screen, and I'll be following the paper sketch I would already have had by now. Remember that you only come to Figma and start doing this when you have your paper sketches done. This right here is what we call mid fidelity. So your low fidelity in this case would have been what you did on your paper sketches. So here I'll just click on. Okay, so there are a couple of things that would make your work easier. Here we have layers, we have assets. So asset is, I'll put an asset shortly, and then you see the point of that. In the meantime, I want to open something. Okay, let me open it here. I want to open something on a different tab to show you. Okay, so while that is loading, so I would just write logo here. But I want to get something for you before I show you that. Where did I put it? We should be wrapping up this class within, I think, 15 minutes so that you guys can go ahead with your pending assignments. Where is it? Where is it? I think, just give me a moment. Okay, I found what I'm looking for. So, yeah, so Figma already has these wonderful tools that makes your life easier. So when you go to, you can go back to files initially, come to what they call community. You see these things. I'll just click on wireframes on the tab called wireframes, and I would see so many options. I think I would use, I can't remember the one I normally use. I use a couple of them. You can test and play with any one of them. So let me just choose this first one here. Let me choose the first one. So I click on it and I will choose duplicate. So what that does is opens a new tab and then basically duplicates it from the community, what is available in the whole community. And I have this first screen, it says start here. Me, I will just jump down to components because that's the relevant thing. Then I would, because I click on component, I'll just do Control A or Command A, and I'll do Command C or Control C. I'll go back to my design. I was working on something, should show on that recent, maybe untitled, because I've not named it yet. I'll go back here, and then I have this right here. You guys should pay attention to this. You see page one. Page one, I'll rename this to I'll call this my wireframes, or you could call it low fidelity design, whatever you want to call it. But I'll create a different page and call this one, I can just call it wire components. I want to just drop all those things I just copied. So I'll do Control V and paste them right here. So what this has done for me is when I go back to my page, which is this splash screen, when I go back here now, I can easily visit assets and type image. And it will just show me different style of images. I can use this one and I'll just drag this. So this symbol right here is a representation of images. So I don't need to get an actual image to show that I have an image. Any designer that sees this knows that I meant that right here it's an image. So I just leave it. You could do this, or you could decide to just use the words, actual text elements, just say logo. Anyone is fine. Now the next screen for me is I can take this one, duplicate it, delete this since I may not need it, and rename this sign up. So I want to do my sign up page. This is where I will stop. I want to stop on the sign up page and you guys will do the rest. So my sign up, I would come here. Let's say I still need image, probably because I'll have my logo somewhere up here. Yeah, maybe somewhere there. So what else would I have? I would have probably have a title here. So I can come here and write sign up, or I'll say register here. So I probably would increase, I don't need to bother about text and all that right now, but maybe I just want it bigger. So I make it 40 pixels. Okay, 40 is too big. Let me make it 30 pixels. And then I have that right here. Okay, so before we continue, I want to show you something that we call grid system, and I want you guys to be very aware of that. I'll just set some rules now, and if you want to know more, investigate on it. When you want to design for mobile view, I want you guys to be using the 8-point grid system. 8-point grid system is just a fancy word to tell you that it is 8 pixels that is in between every dot you will see. So this is how to add it to your board. You see layout grid here. So let me go back again. I click out here, but I'll choose sign up, and then this shows here. Layout grid, I see this plus sign, I click on plus, and then automatically adds a 10-point grid system for me. But because I want 8 points, I'll choose this and change the size to 8. What this does here is it just creates, you see all these tiny red dots, squares, it creates this 8 points. So the spacing between the beginning of this frame and the first one is 8 pixels. The second one is 16 pixels. Here is 24, and then on and on like that, 48 and so on. So I want you guys to pay attention to this, even right from your wireframe, very important. Use a 16-point pixel as left margin. So it means that your words must, okay, let me quickly do something for you guys. So I want you guys to use 2 guides. So this first guide is it's called a grid guide. That's what I've just created with this space here. The second type of guide I want you to do is you click on plus again and to layer it, but this time change this one to, you come here and change it to columns. Columns, you can make it 4. That one is not, that one is depending on the sketch you have. If in your sketch you have, okay, let me leave that. I don't want to confuse you guys, so let me leave that one first. But I'll come to margin and say 16. What margin does is that it creates that space for me automatically, left, right. In between here, it creates a gutter. The space in between your columns is called gutter. The space in between from the beginning, the left here, and the very first column is called margin. So margin on the left, margin on the right, but gutters in between. Those are the right words for it. So if you want to change your gutter, it's here. So what I want you to do is to change your gutter to, let's just leave it at 16, so that we'll leave, so it's a beautiful 16 points system. Or you can leave it at 20. 20 is even fine. Let me leave it at 20. You don't need to change this. The one you need to focus on is changing your margin. And the reason I came back to doing that is because I want it to be easier than when you guys are dragging things around, it will snap and show you, you see, it shows that bold red on the left when I reach that line. So that's what I want. So let me recap. I need you guys to use two types of layouts, grid and columns. To do that, you click on your frame name at the top, which is sign up in this case. You come here, you click on plus, which will show you something, from most likely a default of 10 points. And then you come here, change it to 8. That's for your mobile, because we are doing mobile right now. And then to just create an 8 point for you. Then you now go back and then click on plus again, and then change it right here from grid, slabbing grid, you change it to columns, and then your gutter should be 20. If not, change it to 20. If your count was not 4, make it 4. Basically make it a sort of multiple of 8. So either 4 or 8 or 16. 16 is too much, honestly, but 4 is fine. Then your margin should be 16. So just follow it like that. I want to see your work like that. Okay, so let me quickly rush through this. I'll just show you guys text view. So I'll come here, assets.
Mrs. Grace,
Yes, please.
the gutter that is 20, that's the red columns there, right?
So gutter is a space between this one column and the next one column, this column and this column. So the space between this red, you can change it from red though. See, it doesn't have to be red. You should let me change the color. I'll show you to change. Depending on the color you prefer, you can change it to blue. So yeah, any color really. So the space between this one column and the next column is called gutter. So right here, between here and here is 20. Between here and here is 20. But margin is the one on the right and the one on the left. So margin is in between the beginning of your frame and the beginning of beginning of the column. Do you understand that?
Yes. So what I'm saying is the space between the gutter itself, it's helpful for just like separating elements. What
Yes,
exactly?
yes. Okay, so I'll show you that in a bit. It's great for separating elements. So look at this logo that I just did here. Ideally, what I'll just do is to drag this so that it stops here and this stops here. So if I was going to have another element beside, I will not put it in between anywhere here. It's going to stop here. So that I always have an equal spacing. That is the idea behind this, equal spacing. As it. Is that clear now?
Yeah, it's clear.
Great. Okay, so I will just come here now to show you text field. So I'll just search under my asset again, text field, and I see really different type of text field. I'll come, just drag this in here. And there it is. So for my wireframes, I don't need to stress myself creating all these components from scratch. I'll just make use of what Figma already has. They have really great tools already that I don't have to start designing from scratch. I'll rename this to, let's say I have email address, or let me say this one is first name, or if in my design, I just didn't want this, I can click on it and delete it, but not have my first name inside here. Whatever it is you want is fine. Then I click on it, duplicate, Control D, duplicate. I'll drag it while pressing Shift on my system so that it doesn't shift to the left or the right. And I'll just drag it according to the spacing I have in between here. I want it to be 2 box spacing, not 3. So I'll just drag it back up here. And that is it. Now, how do you check whether your spacing is correct? You click on one element, you put your mouse over the other and press Alt on your system. If you're using a Windows system, it's Alt. If you're using a MacBook, it is Option. And it will show me that it is 16. So I know I'm right because I have 8 points plus 8 points, which is 16. Is that clear to anybody or should I back up?
Yes, you could just go over it again, please.
Okay, so let me do that while creating a new one. So I'll click on this, duplicate, Control D or Command G, depending on your system. Now, what I've done is I deliberately drag it out of line. So I drag it back. It shows me the red lines to snap and tell me I am there. Now it is 3 spaces. You can notice this now. It's 3 boxes. There's 1 box, 2 box, 3 box. So 3 boxes in between, which means I have 24 pixels in between these 2 right now because I know 1 box represents 8 pixels. This is where mathematics comes in handy. So what I'm saying is if you want to check what your spacing is to be sure that you are in line, you click on this one. You use Alt if you're using a Windows system, or you use Option if you're using a MacBook. So I'm using a MacBook, so I'll use Option. So I use Option and then I put my mouse over the other one. And that's how to check. So I can see 24 right there. Do you get that now, Khalid?
I actually get that. I was. Don't
You're
worry.
referring to which one?
No, I was distracted. Someone asked me something. I responded to the person that you were doing stuff. So I wanted to know what you were doing for that split second that I missed.
Can you imagine that? Okay, so now I'll just rename this to password. Okay, so that's it. Now I want to add a button. So I'll go here again and just type button. And to show me different buttons, I want probably this kind of button and I'll just drag it in. So it's just very simple using these tools that are already available. Okay, this is very annoying. I don't know why it always does this. So let me delete this. I don't know, this particular button doesn't respond the way I like it to respond. So let me just drag any one of these other ones. So I take this and I drag it to the extreme. And that's it. Now, notice the difference. The spacing in between my text fields are equal, but the spacing between my button and my text field, I increase it by one box. So that means I will have 24 in between this. Do you get that? Does everybody get that? Or do you want me to back up?
Yes, ma, I get that. But
Yes, madam.
Please, permit me to take you back a bit.
Okay, where are you taking me to now?
Okay, that's an aspect of the component. After copying the component and bringing it back to this site where we are working on, what do you do next in order to make the component?
Okay, you don't need to do anything, nothing really. So what I did was I clicked here and I created a new page. And I renamed that one wire component. I just pasted it. Once you copy it from here and you paste it right here, that's That's all. You don't need to say anything. You come back to your file and just start searching through assets. You make it automatically available for you to use. Nothing you do. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Okay, ma.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just call this register. And that's it.
Please, madam.
Yes, sir.
Please, where do you get those wire components? Where do you copy it from?
Okay, so let me show you again. I'm going back to, I'll go here. I'll click on back to files or so, because this is annoying for me. I usually just duplicate my tab and I'll create a new tab and I just click on figma.com because I don't want you to close down my page. So you can come here, you just go to community. It's under community, you will see, you can directly search up here and say whatever the name is, maybe wireframe, or I just click on wireframes tab and it shows me. I use the very first one, but like I said, you guys can test it, play with it. You can use any one of the other ones. There's even a user flow kit that can help you with user flows if you want to do user flow in Figma. So yeah, there are many things here, but not to get distracted. The first one was one I used, or the one I'm using. So once you click on it, you click on duplicate, it will open it in a new tab for you, like here. This is most likely where to start from for you. And then just go to component, which is the important part that you need. I click on Control A, copy it, come back to my file, click on the pages. I created a new page. I already have it, so I wouldn't be doing, I'll delete this one. And then you rename it if you like, name it what you like. I called it wire component and I pasted it right here. That was it. Immediately it's accessible to me from my original file, which is what I renamed to, let me just call this low fidelity designs. So that's it. Any other questions? Okay, no other questions.
No, sorry again.
Yeah.
You've changed one of your rules in those components now. I know you said before we use 30 as in between like that password and the register, but now you are using 24.
What's
So
30?
can we
What's
still go
24?
with
Which
that?
30 did I tell you? Which 24 did I tell you? I don't
30
understand.
pixel, like
When did I tell you
the
30 pixels?
space in between the password and the register,
When did
the
I
next
tell
button.
you that? Did anybody hear me say 30 pixels in this class? Anybody? Come on, guys, speak up now. Did I say 30 pixels at any point in time?
I didn't hear you say so.
Yeah, because I didn't say so. I'm sure you're referring to another class or something. So I mentioned specifically that I want you guys for this to use what I said. So which is go here, create your what's it called, your layout grid. We're using an 8-point grid system. That's the reason why it cannot add up to 30. There's no way that you add 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. There's no how you reach 30. 8 plus 8 plus 8 will be 24. If you add another 8 to it, it will jump up to 32, not 30. So we're using an 8-point grid system, not a 10-point grid system. If you were using a 10-point grid system, then it will be 30. So we're using 8-point grid system, in short, which is why I'm changing something that I said initially. Let us go back to, I'll just go back to this, my columns, and I'm changing the gutter. Instead of it being 20, I want everything to be 8 points. So I'll just make it 16, and that's it. I want it actually to. So we are using completely 8-point grid system. So vertical spacing between every component, 8 points. Horizontal spacing between 8 points. So we're completely using an 8-point system, grid system for mobile apps. Is that clear now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that is it. So if you want to do your login screen, you can easily just click on this and duplicate it, rename it to login from here, and then remove or add whatever you need to add, change the text, whatever it is you need to do, you do. That's it. And that's all that's required of you. I would have gone ahead to touch on high fidelity, but I won't be doing that because I need you guys to, the assignment seems to be piling up, especially for those that didn't finish from last week. This week was supposed to be, your assignments would have been, you should have already had your idea feature list that you guys will have done as a group. Based on that, you guys should have done your assignment will have been to do your user flow. After drawing out your user flow, sure that's still your assignment. That's the first assignment, your user flow. Then after that, based on that, you do your paper sketches. And after your paper sketches, you start doing your low fidelity designs in Figma. So those are your assignments, and I need it all completed. All of it completed. I need it submitted by Friday so that I can review it in preparation for Saturday's class. So that's the assignment. I would have added one more, which would have been high fidelity, but I honestly don't think you guys will complete it. So now we're already behind a little bit. So now let me go through the original thing we said we're going to do today, and let's look at the ones that are kind of missing that we didn't complete. So right here, we said we're going to revise your research assignments, revise some research principles and tips, information architecture, what's user interface. We've done all this. Understanding fidelity. We've done hi morning. We've done user flows. We've done paper sketching. We didn't do finding design inspiration actually. But we've done intro to Figma. We've done how to wireframe. I've shown you guys how to wireframe. However, we didn't really touch much on UI principles, but we did layout. So I showed you guys grid layout and column layout. That's the practical of it. I just showed you guys in Figma. Outputs, well, we've not really done much of that. For controls, actually, what are controls? Controls are things like text fields, submit. So we've actually done controls because I've shown you guys text fields and all that. So inputs. Okay, sorry, controls, I mixed that up, sorry. Inputs are actually text fields. Controls are things like submit buttons and all those kind of things that are actionable. So some of these UI principles, we've not covered them. We'll cover them next week. We'll cover outputs, we'll cover views, we'll cover error handling, and any other one that I didn't list here. We'll also look at how to find design inspiration. We didn't need to do design inspiration today because we are not working on high fidelity design. I'm not giving that as assignment yet. So we've also touched on accessibility, and I said we'll also do more of this next week when we start looking at how do you test your design. We start looking at how do you do your usability testing. When you're doing testing, you would actually start testing based on some standards, and one of those standards is accessibility. So we're actually done for today. Did everybody get the assignments? Or do you need me to repeat them?
Just for clarification, please repeat it.
I should repeat them for clarification. Tell me the ones you got, and then I'll tell you the ones that are missing.
Okay. We're supposed to first off complete whatever it was we're supposed to do last week. Then, based on our results, we're in our group supposed to brainstorm on these issues and create a user flow for both applicants and recruiters. But first,
so you have to brainstorm on ideas and features. That's a group work, yeah? Then based on that, you create your user flows, yeah?
Yeah. Then after creating our user flows, we should create low fidelity and mid fidelity.
No, you do your paper sketches first. You paper sketch based on your user flows. That's the next thing. Then that is when you now do your low fidelity, your mid. Okay, so you're actually right. Yes, low fidelity is paper sketching. Then you now do your mid fidelity, which is your wireframes in Figma. Okay. Any other? Is there any other assignment I give you guys? Is everybody clear on the assignment now? Nobody's saying anything, so I assume it's clear. And people have been chatting. I'm just seeing all the chats. I'm sorry. Kudirat asked a question earlier saying, what if you design for iPhone X and the application is run on Android? Will it fit Android screen size? No. Okay, so let me say this. The choice of what you design for, whether iPhone X or Android, is dependent again on the demography you're designing for. What that means is when you were researching, one of the important questions you should have asked, if you did not ask, find a way to find out, is what is a primary, what primary device do people use? Do all these people that you're designing for use? Do they use iPhones? iPhones and Android are the most popular. Do they use Android? So that's the question. So if you're able to know, if you're able to know what device that they popularly use, then it's based on the popularity you first design for. Now in the real world, or let me say ideally you're supposed to design for all the devices that you would be creating the solution for in the end. However, in the real world, many times, because of time constraints and even manpower constraints, you would probably not be able to design for multiple platforms. So you just design for the most popular, one that most people are using. So that is not something you choose by random. It depends on the audience. So it's not just something I feel like designing for iPhone. No, it's not. It's not an I feel like thing. Okay. Somebody said. Okay, Mercy is asking, will the video be available after now? Yeah. Actually, to be available. Even last week when I said I was going to pull down by Wednesday, I thought against it because I could realize that many people were not submitting the assignment yet, and they probably need reference. So that should already be down by now. If it isn't down, I'll be pulling it down today. Then yeah, so sure, the video will be available for you guys to refer to. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So when I finish the research report and I want to now start thinking of ideas for user flows for the applicants, how do I make that connection, like from my reports to the design?
Okay, very easy. Let's look at your own. Let's see. Where's that your own? I'll have closed it actually. Let me open your report that you sent. Okay, let me share this screen. I'll give you one or two examples now, and you should be able to get the idea. Where is it? Where's my screen? Just a moment. Okay, here it is. So right here, you said, let me see. Let me use pain points. Applicant pain points. Job requirements do not match role. HR personnel don't put out jobs when they need them. Companies don't always put roles that matter on job listing sites. Job requirements quite daunting. Feels as if she might not be coming across important listing. Feels companies are looking for experienced people. Looks at the job process as a stressful one. Okay, I guess one. Companies ask for skills beyond their experience level. Companies put out jobs after sourcing in-house. Okay, so based on this, I can get one idea already. This one now, companies ask for skills beyond their experience level. It means that maybe one idea could be from the beginning when an applicant is being onboarded on our app, let's find out what your skill level is so that in the end, we only match you up with jobs that fit your skill level. That could be it. So that could be one idea. One idea could be while onboarding, get information about applicants, including their skill level. So you probably have text fields that will be asking, what is your primary, what role are you looking for? Then you can ask another question. How many years experience do you have in this? Have another question. What do you have other roles that you're interested in? Maybe like secondary, so primary, secondary, tertiary jobs that you're looking for, because somebody could be looking for maybe one or the other kind of job roles. So that's an idea that come of this, the fact that people are looking for experience. The same idea can be bouncing off this one, which is skills companies are looking for experienced people. So the fact that they actually still jobs that don't mind no experience, and then so do you get what I mean now, Linda? Does it
Yes,
make
I do.
Okay, let me even see if I can see one more idea. So let me see. Companies don't always put roles that matter on job listing sites, or HR personnel don't put out jobs when they need them. So some of the ideas that I'm able to, ATS filtering reduces its chances of hiring. So you see, by the way, this particular point is not very clear because it doesn't show us how it thinks it reduces its chances of hiring. So you need to update this one. Now, some of these ideas may not be things that will directly give you idea on building the applicant side. So in the real world, since you will probably be designing for both applicants and even the recruiter, this could be giving you some ideas for even the recruiter side, like maybe saying feels as if she might not be coming across important listings. So it will be the job from the recruiter's point of view to be able to put up the listings in the appropriate categories so that when it is finally matched with the the applicant, they'll be able to be a perfect fit. So those are some ideas that come of it. So that's how you link it, and you can find it from different ways. So preferred job platform sites. Let's say somebody said, I prefer Angel List or that platform. It's your job to go to Angel List and go and see what exactly are the nice things about Angel List. So maybe you could have even asked the participant, like, what do you prefer about Angel List? Instead of only saying, I prefer this site, so that when you're building, you'll be able to look out for the kind of things to check out for. Someone said they like Jobberman. So that's another way for you to build ideas. Not everything from your head. You look at competitors, you check out the things that stand out. It's not for you to copy verbatim, but for you to get ideas to implement on. Any other question? No other question. Okay, good. So apart from the things we're not able to cover today that I mentioned earlier, we'll be talking about design sprint next week. That's how design runs in organizations and in teams on projects. That kind of, they call it sprint. Then also we'll talk about the other things we missed out today, and then we'll do a little bit on what's that thing? I think it's usability, some things on testing and all that. So that will be it. You guys should receive an email. If not today, then it will be tomorrow. But I believe your assignments are clear, even without an email for now. Right? Any question? Anything at all while we are ending this class? Okay, nothing else. Thank you very much for attending today's class, guys. Thank you so
Hello.
much for coming. Please feel free, like I said last week, to drop your questions and drop your any issues you have. You can send an email, or feel free to just drop it in the chat in the WhatsApp group. I'm actually more available this week, by God's grace. Thank you, Kudura. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mercy. So, bye, guys.
Bye.